There's a break in the rain, so I want to actually show you where I ended up planting all of those wonderful plants that I got from Silver Creek Nurseries. Right now I'm just, excuse the road noise, the front of our property where we choose to grow is along the road, so there'll be some noise there. I just wanted to walk you up and kind of show you where I've decided to plant some of these things. Here we're entering into kind of my main pear orchard, and you might be able to see in the back there's a Chojuro pear, and here there's a Bartlett. And that's where I decided to put this apricot tree. It's going to be able to get full sun, it's well spaced, and it's going to bring more diversity to right now what is primarily just a pear orchard. As I mentioned, when I first started growing, I tended to put a lot of the same plants in the same area, which makes sense from a pollination standpoint. But if you start watching some of the material from the Miracle Farms, which is a great YouTube channel, there's this idea of really spreading out the varieties of plants so that you can make it harder for disease and insects to get from one pear tree to another. So I've really adopted that and tried to bring a lot more diversity into my plantings. So we come down this path a little bit more, and then you'll see where I put kind of our favorite plant so far from this latest shipment, which is our Rainier Cherry. And so I've dug that down, I've planted it. This one is definitely going to need some mulching, and I'll come back and get that done later today. This cherry tree is on mazzard rootstock, which means it's going to grow 20 plus feet high. So I could kind of put it on the northern edge of this pear orchard, and in behind further north is going to be that big pine nut tree and a lot of other bigger trees. So this is really making sure that the way that the light comes in will work so that the apricot, the pear tree, the plums get all the light they need, and there's lots of space for air movement as well. So now I'm just walking away from the pear orchard back towards Berry Lane in the distance. You can see a lot of the standing water. We've got a tremendous amount of rain the last few days, and I think we're gonna get more today. I still need to put the finishing touches on that arbor, so I'm hoping to get a little bit longer of a break. With the shipment yesterday, I decided to really fill out Berry Lane. So you've seen that Jostaberry already. But along here, I was tired at the end of the day. I left some of my planting tools. At the far end, we'll start, I put in a Romeo shrub cherry. So this will grow about 6 feet high, have what's deemed as kind of halfway between sweet and sour cherries, and provide some good fruit in the late summer. I put an York elderberry in here, and you can see it's kind of tiny, and that's okay. It'll grow its roots this year, and then it'll grow up next year. Elderberries transplant quite well, so I expect no problems at all with this one. And then the 1C buckthorn that I got, I'll probably mess the name up, but Chucksayaya or Chayasaya, I should read that and get that right. This is a sea buckthorn that'll grow about 5 to 6 feet high. It's a nitrogen fixer, so it'll actually support this guild, and it will also provide some amazing berries. Not necessarily great for fresh eating, but I really like the look of sea buckthorn and wanted to include one in Berry Lane here. I have space for more as they come in, but this is really starting to fill out. You can see the spacing here is generally about 5 feet, which should give them lots of room to grow without a lot of space between. I think I showed this yesterday back in my arbor. I really need to fill in more soil, more wood chips, so that this isn't just standing water. But that's where I've decided to put my Hearty Kiwi on the south side of this arbor, so it can grow all the way up the arbor, fill this out. Yes, I know that cross member has to go, I'll take care of that. And so this will provide a great trellis as well as a cool entrance into the garden. So lastly, the rest of what I planted from yesterday is over here in kind of the main orchard area. So I'm just going to take you to kind of the back to explain this a little bit more. But I have along the front here a first row, if you look straight ahead, of all apple trees. And then back here I have a peach tree and another peach tree. And I've reserved this space in the middle where I've decided I'm going to put a cherry plum cot that's coming, or a cherry plum I guess it is. Cross between a cherry and a plum that I'm going to get soon that will go here. And then over here I do have an actual plum cot that's going to go on the edge of the orchard over here, and that's why I decided kind of on the back almost the most southern part of our property to put the early golden plum I got yesterday. So the early golden plum will grow up about 10, maybe 13 feet high. It's going to pollinate here with the plum cod over here and the cherry plum over there, and so they'll work well together. I also like that I have this plum, which generally will fruit in August, with raspberries that are going to fruit in August, and just back there is that green-sleeved apple, which is also August. So I like having varieties and fruits that mature around the same time frame in the same area, because it'll just make it easier to harvest. I also like having these plums to look at. I'm told that they're gorgeous when they flower, and we'll be able to see that out of our back window. The final thing I planted yesterday was my other sea buckthorn. So it is right here along a white ever-bearing strawberry that I put in last year, and kind of in the middle of this orchard. This sea buckthorn will grow a little bit taller. I think it's about 7 or 8 feet. It should still be far enough away from all of these semi-dwarf apple trees, but provide some nitrogen fixing. And again, that look of a sea buckthorn looks very tropical, very different, and I'm excited to have it in the orchard so I can see it. Hope you enjoyed this experience of unboxing and planting all of Silver Creek nurseries. I'm going to do this for all the purchases that I get this year, but I don't want to give the wrong impression. This isn't about buying a lot of stuff. You can do this with very little money. You make friends with other people, you get their cuttings, you start doing grafting, you're doing layering, you grow stuff from seed. You don't need to spend a lot of money. I'm looking at this as an investment. So I am spending quite a bit of money this year on plants. I'm excited for 3 to 5 years from now being able to eat a lot of food from that. And I think there's a very clear and soon way of actually receiving that payback. I have a business background, so I always look at the finances behind this, and there's definitely going to be a positive payback on all these fruit and berries. Spending more now means I get more food sooner, as well as more varieties, and I'm choosing to do that. But as you watch these videos, please don't think that you have to spend a lot of money. The whole idea is to spend the money you're comfortable with, spend the time you're comfortable with, and size your orchard and your landscape for that. Meaning, I have time and I can afford a little bit for plants right now, so I'm very ambitious. But if that wasn't the case, I didn't have the time or the money, I would start much smaller, and you can definitely do that. So thank you to Silver Creek Nursery for some amazing plants. I can't wait to see how those grow and thrive in the landscape.